Microsoft signs binding Call of Duty deal with Nintendo ahead of EU Activision hearing. I like this story a lot.
You do?
Yeah, I do, because it's got some key details in it, which are a consequence of some of the pressure being applied. A lot of people had questions around this topic when it was originally announced that Microsoft was going to buy Activision for $400 trillion, $69 billion. It was a lot of money, man. It's just like this shocking. And then immediately people were like, well, what happens to...
Somebody's like, hey.
What happens to Call of Duty? Yeah. Is basically what everybody said. And they were like, no, it's not in our plan. And then when they say no, then you're questioning, okay, what are you doing then? What's this $70 billion about? Mm-hmm. And the EU gets involved because the EU has been fired up lately. The EU is like, Apple, get rid of your Lightning. Mm-hmm. The EU is like, put a charger over there. The EU is like, no thank you with the, what was it? Was it a Qualcomm thing? Yeah. I can't even remember what that was.
They're calling everyone.
Was it a Qualcomm thing? That they were like, nah. They were trying to either be acquired or acquire something. I might have the wrong company. No, not Qualcomm. Who does the drawings for the chips? Forget it. This is 1,000 years ago on Later. I mean,
it's not NVIDIA, is it?
Getting somewhere. Getting somewhere. Maybe somebody can tell me in the chat here.
Okay.
I don't know. They might be too delayed. ARM. It's ARM.
Oh yeah, ARM. Yeah, ARM.
Thank you, John Pierre. This is beautiful stuff. It was ARM, and they were pissed about that.
Yeah.
The EU is all over this stuff. The EU is like, tech, pff, get out of my face. Tech.
They fart.
So they come in, and then you start to realize, oh boy, this might not happen, mm-hmm. because they come in and say this is anti-competitive, and this is bad news for the customer. Essentially, I mean, more or less. Here's all the reasons why, and then ahead of that, Microsoft goes, no. Look, we got a deal with Nintendo.
Just pulling Nintendo in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like
yeah,
like,
they just jumble them in there.
Like Gumby.
Yeah, the buttons are all mismatched. The tie's not even on. You know what I'm saying? And then they're like, this is Nintendo right here. Yeah. They're like, are you sure this is Nintendo? They look a little disheveled over here.
Nintendo's just scratching.
Nintendo's holding a paper that says 10 years on it. They're being held hostage, allegedly.
His hair's all frazzled.
But I love it. They're like, we will sign a binding deal with Nintendo to prove that Call of Duty is going to be available on a platform other than Microsoft. But it is intriguing that this deal is not with Sony. You see that? Well, you see that? Well, which I presume is a far bigger market for Call of Duty than Nintendo. Just a guess. Just throwing that out there. So you're going to need to see that 10-year deal as well. Anyway, here's the release. Microsoft and Nintendo have now negotiated and signed a binding 10-year legal agreement to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo players the same day as Xbox, with full feature and content parity, so they can experience Call of Duty just as Xbox and PlayStation gamers enjoy Call of Duty. We are committed to providing long-term equal access to Call of Duty to other gaming platforms, bringing more choice to more players and more competition. More. Don't you love us? More. More for all of you. Yeah. Even you guys in the EU, more. Mm-hmm. And then they put their logo, the Microsoft logo, right next to the Nintendo logo.
Yeah.
More. And this, of course, is ahead of the hearing in which they were going to be scrutinized for this deal, and not being more, but instead being less, and more only for them. Of course, that's the
Well, Call of Duty is
criticism.
The main thing that Sony's complaining about, right? To prevent Call of Duty from going to Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, because why are you saying that? Are you saying that because you feel like Activision, should there be some other title that you feel like should be talked about?
No. I feel like this Call of Duty is like the thing to talk about. It's the only thing, really, in my opinion.
I'm sure there's some other. Really I'm sure there's some other titles, but yes, exactly. It is a big franchise, obviously.
Because they're not talking about any Blizzard games.
I know.
It's just Call of Duty. That's all I hear.
But your biggest Blizzard games are primarily like PC, not like they're already being played on Microsoft software, Windows. Right? Wouldn't that be the biggest? Obviously, you can play some Blizzard games on console, but I just feel like it's not this. Whereas with Call of Duty, it seems to be primarily console to help you sell hardware.
Right.
Call of Duty sells hardware. And by hardware, I mean a separate game console. Whereas Blizzard titles, they may sell another GPU to you, but you're still running Microsoft software in that case.
Sure.
They're still involved in that deal.
Yeah.
Which they're not when it comes to Sony or Nintendo for that matter. Although now that they're the game developer, they are involved in that deal still. So anyway, listen, legal challenges are still going to be there, but this is one way in which they're going to pitch the idea that this is better for everyone.
Yeah.